All right, we are live, and if you want to understand how I get such astronomical results, I'm talking about results like this, where I removed 106 negative accounts in 30 days, or the 400 to 700 credit score increase in just 30 days, or how I removed 700 accounts from 2 credit reports in 60 days, or the mind-blowing credit sweep results, where I got 250 accounts removed in just 8 weeks, or if we just scroll up just a little bit, on this playlist that you can access right here. The link is going to be where you find this. I removed 450 collections for one client in just 60 days. Then you're going to want to stay around, and we're going to jump right into these different secrets. Okay. So make sure that you stay around because yeah, I mean, obviously you want to increase your credit score, you want to remove your negative items permanently, and I'm going to give you the information on how to do it. All right. And as always, the link's at the top of the screen to schedule a call with me at my740.com, or you can just say, hey, you know what? I don't want to learn anything right now. I want to do it on my own time. Use the link at the bottom of the screen to go access the new do-it-yourself credit sweep course, sendme2.co/toolkit. But let's get to these astronomical results and how I get them. All right, but first, for you to understand this, I got to tell you what you shouldn't be doing. But the number one thing here, I'm going to be proving this later, the illegal identity theft method. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what someone else says. I prove that this is not the way to do it. All right. And again, I'm going to be proving this later, but I've proven this already. It's illegal if you are not a victim of identity theft. I mean, you've just been a law abiding citizen your entire life. Now you're going to go do a false police report. Well, that's punishable. Okay. Literally fraud. Okay. Or, how about that affidavit? Even if you don't do a police report, that affidavit says, I understand under perjury of law, that blah, blah, blah. Well, you can do a year for perjury in actual prison. Okay. How about that? Or the fact that you're claiming to be a victim of identity theft. You are literally filling something out and submitting it, stating that you are something you are not, a victim of identity theft. Okay. Just don't. There's a better way. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Online disputes. Well, in case you didn't know, when you dispute online, not only are you going directly into their automation system and making it absolutely a perfect thing for them to just be like, oh, no, verified as accurate. Sorry, buddy. But you're also giving up your rights under Section 623 and Section 611. Basically, you're stating that in the event that it comes back and it's not in your favor, hey, you know what? I'm okay with that. Or, hey, how about if they delete something and put it back on? I'm okay with that. Or how about if they violate your rights? I'm not going to sue you. Why give up those rights? We are given so few of them. Same thing for online disputes. We're just going to put an X through these and an X through those and an X through this. Okay. Don't do it. There's a better way, and we're going to get to that. Letters full of laws. You hear me say this all the time. I've got over 1,200 videos. Maybe we're at 1,300, going back 9 years, about why you shouldn't be doing this. You need to give them an exact reason, not just unverified, but an exact reason why the accounts need to be removed. Okay. Another list of don'ts, and this is just kind of as an afterthought, leaving all those extra addresses. I'm going to tell you the most important step, and it goes along with this, but using the CFPB process without exhausting all your remedies. What is a CFPB? Well, it is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It is not the Credit Financial Police Bureau, okay? Or whatever else you want to fill in the blanks with, all right? They are not there to police your disputes. They're not there to police the bureaus. They're not there to police anybody. It's a government agency that prior to COVID and prior to Trump were absolutely 100% untouchable, okay? And they are there basically just to make sure that you get a response. So for you to go to them and dispute or make a complaint without ever disputing with the bureaus, and wrong, definitely not the way to go. And if you look up the administrative definition of exhaustion of remedies, it says basically that, hey, you need to do everything you possibly can. Number one, with the bureau's creditors and collectors. And then number two, after you've done everything that you possibly can, now you can go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the BBB and the FTC and the AG. Okay. Don't do that until you have crossed that bridge. Now, inside my course, you're going to find that the very first step right here is to dispute and remove your personal information. Why is this important? Well, there's a geographical code that attaches your negative accounts to your personal information, okay? Because every single time a new account is entered into the system, it is entered with your personal information, albeit it might just be your name in the account, your name, your date of birth, your social in the account. Some part of your personal information is being attached to that account, okay? And we need to get rid of it because otherwise the bureaus can just say, hey, that address matches, it is verified, tough cookies. Okay. If you want to know exactly how to dispute and remove your personal information, then that is going to be directly in my course. And you can see that link down at the bottom of the screen. All right. So let's get to some very specific things that you need to know about when it comes to removing your negative items. Now, why is this important? Well, otherwise you'd have to wait about 7.5 years, right? Anything is better than that, but I'm going to give you the best way. Now, a lot of people come to me after having not paid, their credit cards and their loans and whatnot. They get sold over to portfolio recovery, Midland, NCA, second round. This is a way that I personally remove them. And this is actually something that I currently still sell online. All right. Removing debt buyer collections like portfolio recovery and all the other ones that I just said. Now, what you want to be looking for is the past due, the limit, late payments, and even the status. All right. So here's the reason: that account is already a collection and therefore it is already past due. Okay. It is already late and therefore there should not be a past due and there should not be late payments. It is a collection. Now, the reason would be account is already past due by default. Additionally, this is a closed-ended account, which means that there's no, on-time payment and past due payment, and there shouldn't be a limit. It's a closed-ended account. Unlike revolving, like I said, there shouldn't be a limit on there. Now, an example dispute would be delete this collection for inaccuracy because it reports me as late on date and date, even though this is a collection which cannot report late payments. And you're going to want to stick around to understand how to remove other types of collections because we're going to go and jump into the validation of debt and disputing those nasty third-party collections. Equifax is notorious for reporting an unknown collection, even though they're paid to report this account and they obviously should know what it is. Using common sense, this would mean that they're unable to verify it because they don't even know who is paying them to report it, right? And if you take a look at section 623 of the FCRA, it basically states that if the account may be inaccurate, the data furnisher is required to report, the name and the address so that you can dispute directly with them, because otherwise they are taking away your ability, your right to dispute. Okay. There shouldn't be a limit. It's a closed-ended account. There shouldn't be late payments. It's a closed-ended account. It's a collection. And the number one way of removing these is by going after the notice of dispute. We're going to talk about that in a minute. All right. But an example dispute would just be, hey, this account is unknown, cannot be verified as accurate. Section 623 requires a furnisher name and address to be displayed conspicuously, and it's not. Okay. Now, let's go down to removing late payments. Now, late payments are kind of tricky. You see, we have to look at, is it older than 2 years? Is it, newer than 2 years? It's completely and totally a process where you have to go through an analysis, basically. Okay. So you need to look at, do I want to remove the late payment and make it look like I was never late? Or do I want to use the late payments to delete the account? If you're going to use the late payment to delete the account, you're always going to go after the oldest late payment. I wasn't late on X date, delete this account. Or, the bureaus report the payment history inaccurately, as you can see on date, blah, 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 delete this account. All right. So here's the reason. So the older the late payment, the harder it is to verify. So you're going to choose the oldest late payment that you see and say that you are not late. The burden of proof is on them, the bureaus, to legally verify. And the only way for them to do this is to furnish a copy of the data furnisher's bank statement. And they're never going to do that. Now, inconsistent reporting. You can check the late payment history and make sure that each bureau is reporting the same information. So each bureau must report the same late payment dates without fail, okay? It's literally the same account. So how can the information be different? It just doesn't make any sense. You can go after the date of first delinquency. So similar to the oldest late payment, check that the account reporting for the first day of delinquency is accurate and state that you are not late on that date if it is inaccurate, or if you are kind of fumbling for, something that may or may not work, but that's, at the top of the hierarchy, you can go with data first delinquency because it is at the top of the hierarchy. That means that you have a very high probability that it's going to be removed. Now, to remove the account versus just deleting the deleting the late payment, instead of asking for the lates to be removed, ask for the account to be removed due to the late payment inaccuracies. Okay. So I know that this is kind of a lot, right? But when you do this the right way, I promise you, you will get results. Now, let's go on. Actually, let me give you an example here. So, I paid on time for a date. Please remove this late payment for inaccuracy and update to paid on time, never late. Or remove this account for inaccuracy because I paid on time for date. Now, removing charge-offs, this is going to be a little bit different. So, charge-offs are different than, late payments and collections. And you want to make sure that you are disputing the right type of account the right way. So the secret for removing charge-offs, you're going to be looking for the date last paid, the date last reported, the oldest late payment that you can see on the credit report, inconsistent reporting in the payment history and the dates and amounts, date of first delinquency, late payment history, such as charge-off, 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 monthly payment, and where it says transferred or sold. So we're going to quickly go through these because we have a lot to go through. And I will also let you know that you can access the giveaway page by going to both sendme2.co/giveaway and sendme2.co/giveaway1. All right. So date last paid. This is the date you last paid and never paid again. It must be the same on all three bureaus. And this is actually one of the dates that stipulate when the account will naturally fall off by itself. Date last reported. This is basically when the bureaus went and kind of updated your account, right? So if they verified as accurate, but they don't change this date, then it's likely that no investigation actually occurred. And you could basically state that in your dispute. You didn't change this date, even though I disputed last month. It still says, 2021, 2017, 2019, whatever, which means that you literally did not investigate. We've already gone over the oldest late payment. Inconsistent reporting is very straightforward. We've already gone over date of first delinquency. Now let's talk about the late payment history, such as charge-off or anything after the account was actually closed. So once an account is closed, there should be zero payment history. And this is charge-off as an example, or anything, unless you're actually paying on the account. There's literally no activity after that date. Okay. Monthly payment, the account is closed. There should not be a monthly payment on a closed account. And transferred or sold. So should not have a balance or past due on a transferred or sold account. Only the new furnisher, such as the collector, should report the balance. Okay. Now, you can also use this for removing student loans, foreclosures, repossessions, etc. Okay. Now let's go and talk about those third-party collections. Now, I will put a bit of a note here. Okay. So this can actually be used on different accounts, such as charge-offs, but I don't want you to be confused. This is the collection tactics playbook, but the validation of debt can be used on other types of accounts. If you want to get access to it, you can either access it individually or you can access it as part of my actual course. Okay. You're going to find this under the section having to do with fighting violations. So the validation of debt is very, very straightforward. All right. So the bureaus have 4 different letters and the collectors have 4 letters. And the number one key to getting these accounts removed is very, very simple. They're required to enter something called the notice of dispute. Now, if you were paying attention on the secrets here, I said something about the notice of dispute. And I also mentioned that I would talk about this in just a moment. And here we are. Now, the notice of dispute is very, very simple. When you dispute something, they are required under FCRA 623 A3 and AC to enter that notice basically stating, within 30 days from the date of first receipt, stating that the account is disputed by consumer. All right. Now, same with FDCPA 8078, and that has to do with the collection agency. So they have 30 days to enter that notice. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to. But a second secret to doing this is that you should probably dispute these with the actual collector first. Okay. Now, if you dispute it with the bureaus first, they have a higher likelihood that they're going to enter that notice, and it takes away some of that leverage that you actually have. All right. You can actually use this process to remove any account just by going after the notice of dispute. Again, this is all part of my course. Use that link that you see at the bottom of the screen. So we're going to end this here, but you may want to check out my other videos on that notice of dispute. It is literally the number one thing that I've used, that I've used to remove over 50,000 negative items over the last 5 years. Okay. So check out the validation of debt, the full process inside of the course. Check out my videos on the validation of debt, and check out my videos on the notice of dispute. All right. So I may go and do a secondary video about other credit sweep secrets directly from my go-to credit sweep cheat sheet, which is also part of my course. But hope you have a great day. Smash that like. Again, subscribe if you have not done so, and enter if you want to win those 2 apps. All right. So